most beautiful things about this office is just the mix of personalities and the stories of people's lives that all come together underneath the signature roof, and you get to orchestrate all of it. And today we have a very interesting story and a very interesting personality in the way of Mr. Bobski. Greetings, Signature Studio Spotlight Series. This is the bald guy in the red tie, John Butler, your favorite bald-headed, red tie wearing realtor and show host with Susan Ebert, the broker extraordinaire of Signature Real Estate Group in Murrieta, California. And we have Mr. Bobski, which his first name is Robert, and his last name is... And so we call him Bobski.
Shalkevich. It's easy.
Shalkevich.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll have to
so
get
hard.
that typed out for the show notes there.
I don't feel like when you spell it out, it sounds like
Oh,
that.
no, because it's Szalkivicz. The Z has an H sound. So instead of SZA, it's like SHA, shall, and the W has a V sound. So it's ICZ is IVH.
Is that Polish? Is it Polish?
Yes, ma'am.
Is it?
That'd be a Polak.
Yeah, nice. So we just call you Bobski.
Well, it's
for
called
short.
a lot of names.
Yeah. Well, we're
He's
talking
been
about this.
married before.
Yeah. Tell us your different versions of names there that people would call.
Well,
you.
when I was a kid, everybody called us Sacco. My dad was a boxer, and his ring name was Sacco, Socko. So as a kid, everybody called us Sacco. You know, we were the Sacco family. And when I went in the Marine Corps, I got a whole bunch of names. Oh, what I loved about my name was in school, right? But especially with a new grade, new teacher, I didn't have to be worried about being called on right out of the bag.
They saved you for last.
It was too hard.
Yeah, because I'd always be last, you know. Plus, whenever I'd go to the doctor, wherever I go someplace, you know, I know who they're talking about because they'll come out, they'll go, Mr.
Their brains just shut down when they see all those letters.
And the funniest thing was when I was in North Carolina, I took my dog to the vet, and the nurse or whatever, she comes out and she says, Mr. Shalkevich, or however she pronounced it, I don't remember. And she says, are you Michael or Robert? And I says, no, I'm Robert. And I wanted to find out who Mike was. My cousin.
That you didn't know about?
I had no idea he was in North Carolina. But anyway, when I went in the service, I started out being called Smith, which I told you about. I had a drill instructor named Smith, which he would not have in it. He wouldn't have in no boot camp named Smith. So then they started calling me Alphabet. And then
Alphabet.
yeah,
You got all the letters in
It
there.
was all the letters. One DI called me Spizmerzak. I was called Skizzer-Fazoo. I mean, a lot of different names. Smuff.
Small?
Yeah. The one that most people know me by is Bobski. And actually, when they find out my real name, they go, what?
Well, it's a lot easier to say Bobski.
Yeah.
What's your wife call you?
You don't know.
You son of a...
I can't say that here. No, she's very sweet.
She is.
She calls me Robert.
She does?
Yeah, when I'm bad.
Just throwing the middle name there.
Yeah.
What is
yeah.
your middle name?
Thomas.
Oh.
Robert Thomas. That's my baptismal name, I guess.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. RTS.
I like it.
Bob Ski. So everybody knows me in California pretty much as Bob Ski.
So pre-California, where did you come from?
Chicago.
Chicago.
I was born and raised in Chicago.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Is that before it went down the tubes?
Was Chicago a nice place to live?
No, I was in. Actually, it wasn't bad. It was a Polish-Jewish neighborhood,
Right.
predominantly German, Polish-Jewish German neighborhood. And then they had a big influx of, I'll just say, people from another country that came here when they shouldn't have been here, but they really, Chicago was loaded with them. And they slowly drove everybody out to the suburbs. But I was telling him that I hung around with 3 different groups. I hung around with a Christian type group. I hung around with a sports type group, and I hung around with a bunch of bums. You know.
It's a good mix.
Well, yeah, because I had to cover all my bases. Well, you know, because it's like, number one, I loved being a Christian, okay, but that was not acceptable in all realms. You know what I mean? And then I loved the sports. My brother was a coach and played a lot of sports, had a lot of trophies for baseball, basketball. And then I had that bad boy group, and that's where we did our smoking and drinking.
This was in the late 50s, early 60s?
Yeah, about 50 I was born in 44, so it's like in 50, I loved the 50s, like from 55 on. I remember really, I really loved that time. And then I joined the Marine Corps in 62 because I needed to leave Chicago.
What'd you do?
Well, I didn't do nothing, but my
That was the problem, right? You weren't doing
my
anything.
dad's car got blown up.
Oh,
Yeah.
were you that
I-
naughty?
yeah,
Were you a
well-
naughty kid?
No, it got nasty there. And I figured like this, if they're going to shoot at me, I might as well get paid for it. But that was my idiotic thinking, man.
So Chicago was a war zone back then too, huh?
Yeah, especially down on 18th and Halstead, which I used to go down there because I had my best buddy, Mark, his brother-in-law was from that area. And that was the gangster. It was a lot of Chicanos down there. You know, but we used to go down there, and I'll never forget this song, Alley Oop. Remember that song, Alley Oop? Well, these 2 brothers, whenever this song come on, we used to go on a roof, you know. And, of course, we were young, and we only drank a little bit. But these guys, that song, Alley Oop, would come on, and these 2 brothers would just start, doop, doop, and then they'd start fighting, man, and just beating the hell out of each other.
No.
Oh, it was crazy. And they had a lot of drag races down there. There was North Avenue that ran all east and west to the beach. And out at the end where Cicero was like the end of town and end of Chicago basically. And then after that they had where it was called Skips. It was one of these, you know, with the trays and the girls bringing, it was like where they used to go out there to drag, you know, and that was before O'Hare Airport had that crossover and stuff. But it was I had a lot of good times, a lot of crazy stuff. I mean, like I said, I loved being around my Christian group because it made me feel, you know, connected in a lot of ways. And then my athletic group was just a lot of fun, you know, playing a lot of sports and enjoying that part. And then the bad boy group was just at night when we hang around, you know. But the thing of it is, even when I was a kid, we had respect for the law, and we had respect for, I mean, our neighbors could beat our butt. You know what I mean? And if you went home and told your mom or your dad that, you know, Mrs. Hart spanked me, she's beat my butt too. You know, because it's...
You got it twice.
You know, well, the neighborhood, I mean, you know, it's like my mom always say, you get caught by the cops, tell them to keep you. You don't want to come home.
It's old school parenting, huh?
Yeah, it was, but it was a good life. I mean, you know, it was all I knew.
Yeah.
The only thing I knew deep down, there was a better place, you know. I knew there was some place other than Chicago that had to be, and that's kind of when a little bit of the TV was getting on, and, you know, you were learning more, way before the internet. You were learning more about the outside world and where people are at. In Chicago, you had this sense of being known as a gangster. You know, Machine Gun Kelly and all of these, and even in Michigan, there was the Purple Gang. So there was this whole gangster attitude that went around in Chicago, and all the young kids, we felt like, well, I need to be a gangster, you know. That wasn't very good. That didn't pay much.
So instead of staying in that environment, you went into the Marine Corps?
Well, I quit school. Well, I went to 2 weeks of high school, and then I got a couple jobs, And then my mom told me that, you need to get a job, go to school, or join the military. So it was kind of like, I already had a job. I know I didn't want to go to school. So my buddy Mark, which was my lifetime friend, said, well, let's join the service. He went to join the Marine Corps because his brother was a Marine. So it's like, okay, we'll go in the Marine Corps, man. It's like, why not? So we joined
From gangsta to Marine.
I was telling him, we joined the Marine Corps on a buddy plan. I saw him once in Okinawa, and then the story about when we were in boot camp.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, when we were in boot camp, he got a bunch of teeth pulled out and was sick. So he was in sick bay for a week. Well, I didn't know he was coming back the next day, but the day before, the drill instructor comes out and he says, okay, I need some volunteers for blood, right? So everybody in the ranks, he said, let's hear some names. So I go, Rice, which was my buddy's, Mark's name, right? Well, he got out of sick bay that night. Next morning, we fall into formation, right? And the drill instructor's calling off names. He goes, Rice. And he goes, what the hell? Because he just got out of the hospital. So he ended up giving blood, and I was telling him that. I didn't even tell him until after we got out of the Marine Corps.
Really?
Oh, yeah. It was, because I kept that. It was funny. He was best man at my wedding.
Mm-hmm.
I spent my first duty in 29 Palms for desert training. I went to Japan for cold weather training after that, and then to Okinawa. And then I came back. I got married, went to North Carolina. I had my first son there, got out of the Marine Corps. I was going to move back to Chicago, but when I got back, my family was such a mess. We were sitting in the restaurant with my mom, and she was telling her my sister was getting a divorce, my mom and dad were getting a divorce, and my brother had moved out to the suburbs. I just told my wife, I said, well, let's just head for California. And so we did, and I've been here ever since.
Where did you land in California?
In Gardena. Yeah.
You just throw a dart at a map and say, all right, we're going to drive there?
No, her
Is it-
parents lived in Gardena.
Oh, okay.
So we had to live with somebody, But actually, I had like 3 certificates of completion because I still knew that I wasn't as smart as I thought I was. And I actually got a high school diploma from Gardena High School, and realizing, like I was talking to you about, I wasn't a dumb kid. I was slow, I guess for me, when I had learned something, I needed to learn it. I couldn't learn a little bit and, try to add on to it. I just had to know it before I could go forward. So we lived in Gardena, where I had my daughter, my first daughter. And then we moved, I got a job as a telephone company, as station eye, and then I went to repair, which was that was a lot of fun, installing phones and stuff. Some of the experiences I had there were really amazing. So I ended up in Selmar, and I was working for Ralph's Grocery Warehouse as a receiving clerk. And then, I worked in Ralph's Grocery Warehouse first. And then they promoted me to a receiving clerk on 3rd and Vermont at the original Ralph's there, where I ended up being the training receiving clerk for the new ones. And then from there, I went to Big Bear, which I lived up there for a little over 7 years. And I had, I had my second daughter in Selmar. And then I went to Big Bear where I had my last child, my youngest son. And
That moving kept you happy.
It helps, new location, right?
it was like I always thought I was going to make it type thing, you know what I mean? And I was driving up. I had a Cadillac Eldorado, and I was going to Big Bear, with my wife and my kids. But I had a Ford too, my wife stayed down here, and I went up there and I got a job installing carpet. And then backing up a little bit, yeah, when I was in Selmer, I met this guy, and he talked me into getting into construction. So that's where my construction career grew. And I caught on pretty quick. I mean, it was like that one time when I was talking to the carpenter guys, and they were asking if he was a journeyman, and I said, yeah, and they say, well, what's the difference between a 8-penny nail and a 16-penny? And I said, everybody knows it's 8 pennies. He says, what? I said, it's a 16. And I just caught on quick with a lot of that stuff. Your face is going to break from smiling.
I just am so happy you're here.
But
We've been talking about this for like 2 months.
Yeah.
really,
Yeah.
well, I was supposed to do this a while back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I forgot what happened. I don't know.
You're too busy for us.
No, I don't
Can
think
fit us
so.
into your schedule.
Where was I?
Big Bear
Well,
contractor.
I got into construction, right? And actually, I worked on when there was that big earthquake in Selmer,
Ooh.
that bridge that fell down, I worked on it.
Oh.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah,
know if that's
that's
a good
when-
reference for a
well,
contractor.
And when the hospital collapsed,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? The only civilian killed in there was a friend of mine. She lived in this old Spanish house, and her husband was telling me when the earthquake hit, he got out of bed, put his feet on the floor, and the ceiling came down and crushed her. And matter of fact, I just hooked up with 4 of his kids.
You
Hear
know what
that?
hooked up means, right?
I met. Yeah, a different generation. Oh, you bad girl. They had just moved here, and we reconnected.
Oh,
Which
nice.
when they were little, they used to hang out by our house a lot. Anyway, so when I went up to Big Bear, I got that job installing carpet and driving a truck, and then I got into construction for a Jehovah's Witness. This guy,
Yay.
right? And I didn't know they don't do holidays.
Oh.
They don't believe in any of that stuff, right? Well, I guess I started working for him in March, April, something like that. Well, come November, December, I'm talking about Christmas, and we never had any time off for holiday type thing. I just work. I need the money. And then when Christmas come, I said, well, I'm taking off. He says, well, you can't take off. I'll have to fire you. I said, get my check. It's like, I had enough of this crap. And then actually, it wasn't too long after I got my license, and I started building gambrels, it's the barn roof type, and A-frames and stuff like that, and also was doing a lot of interior work, paneling, finish work, doors, hanging doors and stuff. It was like, things got a little tough one time, so me and my buddy Phil, we started this company as Safety Products or something. I don't remember the name of the thing, but what we did is we got these little peepholes. We went down to San Bernardino and we were knocking on doors, man. And we were selling these little peepholes for $15 a piece. They drill a hole, put them in,
They sell well?
Yeah, we did pretty good. I mean,
Yeah.
because with snow and you do much up there, you just drive down the hill. But my construction company up there was Swiss Builders. And then I had a good friend of mine that we worked together. Met a lot of other people and stuff, a lot of good people. But I lived up there, and then the kids were getting a little bit older, especially my 2 oldest. Decided that, well, I think we need to move out of Big Bear because I wanted my kids to go to a good school. Excuse me. So we moved down to Escondido, and I put them in St. Mary's. And they all went through St. Mary's. Except my youngest daughter. She got to like 7th grade, 6th grade, and she just didn't want to be there because all her friends were in public school. So I just took her out there because she was a lot happier there.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, and if I would have kept her there, I know she wouldn't have been too happy. So we just lived there, and that's where I bought this house on the GI Bill, and that's when I did a lot of my own. I built my own swimming pool in the back. I made my own desk and all kinds of stuff. I was getting into that stuff for a while. Who did I? Oh, I worked for Viking Sauna, and me and my buddy Phil, we used to put saunas in. You know, we're for a lot of people that had money. And we went to Palm Springs quite a few times. I put in a sauna for George Hamilton.
Ooh.
And when I was at George Hamilton's house, he had this little house down below, but then he had this really nice house upper level. Well, he went up there and he says, if anybody calls, answer the phone, you know, and I'll be upstairs. So we're working away, phone rings and I pick it up. And I said, well, George's Hamilton's house, I said, he's upstairs there now. And he says, just tell him Sammy called. I said, Sammy? He says, yeah, Sammy Davis. Just tell him I called. Right, and it's kind of like, boom. Man. And then we did Colonel Parker, which was an experience. Because Colonel Parker, for his birthday, what is it, CBS or whoever sponsored him, they gave him a sauna with a workout room in his backyard. So we went in there, and it's like I was in the house that was like where Elvis was, and he had, where the piano was, all kinds of pictures of Elvis and stuff, and in Colonel Parker's office, man, all kinds of famous people. Anyway, we ended up doing his. He gave us some tickets to Elvis's concert in San Diego, you know, and he says, when you guys get there, just come in, I'll introduce you to Elvis and everything. Well, we got there, and I guess Elvis was doing something else, so we didn't really get to meet him, you know, which I think, oh, man, that would have been a thrill and a half.
He probably has no idea who Sammy Davis Jr. is.
I know. I don't know who George Hamilton is.
Yeah.
Who's that?
Well, George Hamilton?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I guess. He was a guy that made his way in Hollywood by being in the right place at the right time, meeting people,
Oh, okay. Yeah.
you know.
Gotcha.
You're going to have to Google it.
All right.
Yeah.
I'll
Yeah.
Google
Always
it.
with a nice tan, and he did some acting.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Is that what that was?
yeah, that's what that was. So where was that? And, so we put in a lot of saunas. I put in a sauna one time in Rancho Santa Fe. It was downstairs in this. I mean, this guy had bucks, right? And they had horses and stuff. So he says, well, I want you to put this downstairs in this big old house, right? Well, we go down there, we're starting to put it in, and this kid, like about 12 years old, 13 or something, right, playing the drums. Could not play the drums, but he was playing the drums. And we're trying to build this sound and stuff, man. It was like, I'm out there and choke this kid.
Right.
But there was a lot of good experiences there. I put a sauna in for this guy. It was a one-bedroom, 5,000 square foot house with a maid's quarters, a big old ranch spread. But you know, we get to meet a lot of nice people. And I see. Then I changed my construction company to Canyon Construction, and I built some spec homes, and a lot of remodels. In the meantime, after 17 years, I ended up, my wife divorced me and left me to finish raising the 4 kids, which was not a problem. She had some problems to work out. So there's no grudge there, nothing. They all get along great now and everything. But I went crazy.
Single dad.
Yeah, I was a gigolo.
So what era is this?
That's when I still lived in Escondido, because I had bought a house up on Park Hill Lane, which is a real nice area up there. And I put her through. Well, had to go through nursing school, so I got her enrolled in nursing school because she gave up. But I put the papers in anyway, and she ended up getting in the program, and then she graduated. She got a job, hired a lawyer, and divorced me.
Ouch.
You know, which I mean, I had my part in, I'm sure. I mean, I'm probably not the easiest guy to live with, although I think I am.
And then you were a gigolo.
Well, I'll tell you what. Two things I said when we got married. I says, one, we get married, we're going to raise our kids Christian, Catholic. And I says, two, we're married forever.
Aw.
All right, and she's thumbs up, right? Well, 1 out of 2 wasn't bad, huh? But it really it threw me in a tailspin because we were going steady in grammar school. You know, I mean, this was the love of my life.
Aw.
I got a new love of my life, Shirley. It's you.
It's the new wife.
That's the new one. But I just kind of went crazy with being this wild single man, thinking, well, you know, I just move on, right? But it took me many years I ended up finally getting a book on grieving, which was really a few years back, that I actually read about grieving in the process and realized I was still grieving in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
So you get through that, you know. Then my second marriage was, I guess we were together a couple years, maybe 3. And things were great. But after we got married, 8 months later, we were divorced. I don't know, something happened, and I just said, I can't do this, man.
So you divorced her at that time?
Yeah, I got even with women. No, because it wasn't. I never really wanted to get married, but she was one of those. Let's get married. And to me, it's like, you know, why we're doing fine, man. You know, living in sin, things are great.
Sin is fun for a season.
Yeah. So that didn't work out. So I dated some more women, which I was telling them, I've dated several nurses, and most of them were ER nurses. And ER nurses are uninhibited. I guess they see a lot of action, so they're basically uninhibited. Oh God, there's so many things. I ended up building this spec house, right, with my second wife, and then we got divorced, and I was living there. That's when I met Shirley, and it was like, well, first night she stayed over. I mean, this was a 5,000 square foot house, nice house out there in Lake Jennings, and it was built for downstairs, master bedroom, everything. But upstairs was for like if you had kids or guests or something like that. And off my patio, in the master bedroom, you open the double doors, and we're on it's like a hill looking out over a valley. And I guess the first time Shirley stayed there with me, she thought, man, this is great, right? Which, in retrospect, if I thought we were going to end up getting married, I would have probably kept that.
Oh.
You know, because it was a nice house and everything. But anyway, we ended up together, and then we ended up living in my condo.
How old are the kids now when you met Shirley?
Oh, God, let's see. Joey was 10 when I got divorced, so Bobby was like 15. Almost 16, probably. So I've been with Shirley almost 27 years now.
Wow.
So I don't keep track of a lot of that
Yeah.
time stuff in
Yeah.
a lot of ways because I just don't.
Yeah.
You know, I don't even remember. I know when I got married to Shirley, though.
That's an important one.
You know when? December 26th, day after Christmas.
Oh.
Can't even forget that.
Oh.
That's good. That's smart to pair it up with the major holidays. So you just those
Kill
two
two
for
birds
one
with one
kill. Yeah.
stone.
Well, I'm bad at that stuff in a lot of ways, you know.
Yeah.
I have my calendar, and if I check with my calendar, I'll remember this stuff. But if I don't check with my calendar, it's like
So how did you meet her?
at a country western bar.
Did
Yeah.
you dance?
I used to clog. You know what clogging is.
I do. I wouldn't ever voluntarily do it, but yes.
Yeah, I used to clog. Well,
Or admit it.
I started clogging with my second wife, with Kathy, and it really was a lot of fun, and country western dancing. So I used to go around a lot of different country western places.
So you had some moves then back in your day.
And then I met her in Cahoots in San Diego. Mm-hmm. You know,
Did you approach her or she approached you?
we'll say I approached her. Okay.
Okay.
I mean, I think she approached me, but you know, if she says I approached her, then I did. I learned not to argue.
Yeah. That's 27 years of marriage right there.
Yeah. But yeah, we kind of hit it off. I mean, and what I love the most about her, she's so independent. You know what I mean? She don't take any guff from anybody, and she's very intelligent. She's extremely good at what she does, and she's a lot of fun. Yeah,
She's adorable.
good sense of humor. Well, you know.
It's got to have a sense of humor to be with you, right?
Well, that's another thing, really, in life. I absolutely tell you, if you want to get through life, you know, have a sense of humor.
Yeah.
Because even raising my kids, it was like, I always said, look, I can fix anything you can break almost, except another person. I said, don't break people, you know. So I didn't get all excited when they broke stuff because it's kind of like I broke stuff. I mean, matter of fact, I destroyed stuff. You know, when
I
I was
thought I
Beyond
heard you
repair.
say blow up a car at some point. Yeah.
But the thing of it is, I always tried to keep a sense of humor. I mean, some of the things I used to make fun with the kids. One time I said, okay, here's the deal. Everything, the last of everything in this house is mine. So there was like maybe a half a glass of milk left, one cookie, piece of bread, you know. They would do that on purpose, you know, just to have fun with me.
Yeah.
Aw.
So we had a lot of fun. And the thing is, the kids ended up staying with me after the divorce because the courts decided that it was a more stable place. I don't know where they got that from. Went through counseling and stuff. I'll work my way through that. But it was a lot of fun with my kids. The boys, actually my girls, I shouldn't be saying this, but my girls probably should feel left out because I gave my oldest son a couple cars, and my youngest son, I think 3, but I never gave my girls a car. I had this really beautiful Mustang, all ready for paint, and I gave it to my son for his 16th birthday. On the way to high school one day, he was showing off with his buddy, totaled it. I mean, it was a nice fastback. Nice
Your
car. I don't know how the
daughter
hell
wouldn't
I
have
got
done
off
that.
on that, but
Your daughter wouldn't have done that.
well, I don't know. It's just they never asked for much, you know.
So which one's your favorite kid?
My favorite kids, all of them.
I tell,
What?
I tell my boys that they got a 1 in 3 chance of being my favorite.
Really? Well, mine got a 1 in 4. Yeah. Each one is my favorite in a certain way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I spend, I don't spend much time with my girls now because my oldest daughter lives up in the Bay Area and my youngest daughter lives up in Flagstaff. My oldest son lives on his boat down in San Diego, and then my youngest son lives there in Carlsbad. So I get together every first Friday with my two boys. I video chat with my youngest son on Fridays because we're doing the book, the 12 Rules of Life by Jordan Peterson. And I talk to my girls. My girls come down to visit me when they can. They're all doing good. I mean, I'm proud of them. They all turned out, in spite of both of us, they turned out pretty good. I got no complaints. My youngest son is the most religious. My oldest son is very religious, but my two girls, I don't think they practice as much, although my youngest daughter is what I call spiritual. She's very spiritual. She's a really loving, kind, sweet person, that gave you the shirt off her back, I think.
What's their names?
I don't know.
What? Well, okay, oldest son is how
Bobby,
old? Bobby, and then
Cassie,
Uh-huh.
Lisa, and Joey.
Okay.
And
Bobby,
then
Cassie,
Bob,
Lisa, and-
I named after me.
Surprise.
Egotistical. The two girls, I left it up to my wife to decide those names, because I had named Bob. And then Joe, I named after my brother and my dad. My dad's name was Joe. It was a Joe Senior and a Joe Junior. And let's see, they were, I named them all for a reason.
How many brothers and sisters do you have?
I have one brother and a sister. Now, my brother passed away, 4 or 5 years ago, 4 years ago, maybe, something like that. My sister's still kicking, although we almost had her in the grave several times. She just come down with stuff that, they say, well, she ain't going to make it. And it's like, well, let's pull the plug. And she said, whoa, wait a minute. No plug pulling there. And she's got like a pharmacy in her house. I mean, she takes a lot of pills, man, for all kinds of. No, these are not happy pills.
Oh,
Just keeping you alive, pills.
Keeping her alive.
That's sad.
And she's like 4'2".
oh,
I mean, she is short.
yeah, that's little.
Yeah, very little.
That's very little. Isn't he fascinating?
It's like a history lesson of Bobski. It's awesome.
I know.
It's a lot of life lived.
Yeah,
So you're going to be 78 next year?
in May.
In May.
Yeah.
So 78 years on this planet. What would you say are some good lessons that you think the younger generation should know about?
Oh, he has so many.
Do you have any core burning ones that?
The value of time. I forget what it is. I finally, I like to read. So a lot of what I read is self-improvement, and motivation, like psycho-cybernetics and stuff like that, which is amazing, but unconditional love. But what I read is about the value of time, and that we all get the same amount of time. Right now, on the other side of the world, they're getting the same amount of time that we are. And it's the most precious thing you have. You can't save time. And there was this Zig Ziglar, I think, who said, yesterday's a canceled check and tomorrow's a promissory note. And the only thing that's valid is today. And I took that to heart to realize that, you know what, that's it. Every second that you live is a gift from God. And that there's no guarantees you'll see tomorrow, and yesterday's gone, so you realize that you can't change the past, so you just got to let it go and deal with it. And the future, it's not here. So what are you going to do? You're going to learn to live, and what I always say is, well, whatever happens in life, deal with it. That's all you can do. You can't change it. And maybe sometimes you can't fix it, but you got to have to deal with it. And that for me, like I was telling you, that for me, reaching maturity is the day you totally accept responsibility for yourself, for who you are, and again, I says I don't regret my past because it made me exactly who I am today. You know, and I kind of like myself today. You know, I'm not probably the best person I could be, but you keep working at it, and it's like anything else. The more you work at it, the better you get at it. You know, so it's like too many people spend too much time bemoaning the past and worrying about the future and stuff, and they miss the now. You know, and I'm a total nature lover. You know, like I was telling you, man, I just love nature. It makes me amazed at when I look at all of the different animals, all the different things in nature, and you know, when people say there's no God, I just go, man, you know, I don't know how you could possibly believe that all of this just happened, you know. Well, for one thing, because when you look at man, you realize that he's the only living creature that has choice. I mean, all of this is, no other creature could do what we're doing right now, develop this. We've gone to the moon, back, and all the space stuff. And just like I said, in nature, it's just amazing. As down here, you look at a little tiny ant. It's got legs, it's got a heart, it's got eyes. It can carry 10 times its own weight. Yeah, you know what I mean? And it's like man can't reproduce that.
Yeah.
You know, it reminds me of this joke. One time God was arguing with the devil, and the devil was saying, I can do anything you can do. And God says, well, I made the world. And the devil says, well, I can too. He says, well, make one. And the devil reaches down and he says, God says, get your own dirt. So, you know, but it is. Life is amazing. I am so grateful for people like you in my life, too, that I have had the opportunity to meet. And like Susan, I've known for a lot of years, even though she's only 50.
Met her when she was in her teenage years, right? How did you meet Susan? Do you remember?
Well, I was working for Susan Hetrick with Exit. And then Susan went out of business, and Susan was gracious enough to take me under her wing.
So Susan Hetrick was my real estate agent, and she helped us buy and sell. And so she was my agent, and she was the reason I bought an Exit franchise.
Yeah.
Because I went to breakfast with her one morning,
Yeah.
and I'm like, okay. And she thought I was crazy, and I am. And then it just led to all these friendships and all of these other people. So we met when I first started.
Oh yeah, you
Like-
were building the building over
Yeah,
there. And,
Marietta Hot Springs Road.
Yeah, and that's like Susan just learned how to spell Exit. You know, that's what's amazing me about you too. You know, your ability to understand and develop the business the way you did is very impressive. There's a few women in my life that I've gotten to know that are really amazing, and you're one of them.
This is why I hang out with them. I think we met in 2005. Like, it's been years. Yeah.
That's right when you started, yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and it's and I just enjoyed being part of Exit. You know, I'm not really I didn't sell anything. I just be a part of Exit, you know, because I just enjoy it. I mean, the atmosphere. That's another thing. Being around people that are enthusiastic, people that are trying to, you know, develop in the world and be successful. It is because there's that saying: if you want to be successful, hang around with successful people. You know, and that's one of the beautiful things about this signature is I met a lot of amazing people like you. I know a lot of people that know your story and how impressive that is. I remember when you were on stage with Exit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I said you should have been an actor, man.
Oh, yeah.
You know, really. I mean,
Yeah, it was
I can remember.
timing, everything was perfect.
Yeah. I mean,
Perfect
I
storyteller.
sat there and like, wow, man. I mean, you had, like the book we're reading now
Yeah.
of connecting,
Yes.
Yes,
Yes, he has that.
yeah. And
Yeah.
that's what it was, is your ability to connect with people is just amazing.
Thank you.
But that's what I love about being part of this. It's like the book club is special to me.
So we have read books for years. So
That's been going on since the Exit days, right? Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. And so I've read so many books with this man, and what it's done for me is it always made me calendar time to have that be a priority, and then we're reading all these different books, but he has the life experience, and so he's been such a mentor to me. And when I'm thinking, okay, I'm having a minute, or, oh, my kids are twisting my arm a little bit, he would always give me hope. But it was funny because we would pick the books that we were going to read, and it seems like every single time throughout all of these years, the book is exactly what I needed right at the time that we were reading it. Now, he'll read 10 books at the same time, and he's already read some of the books that we actually read together, and then he'll give them to me and say, okay, try this one. And that's been our relationship of just him pouring into me the knowledge and the wisdom that he's had in his life. And there's not a lot of people that are willing to do that for another human. And so I have just been eternally grateful for it, because it's one of my best friends,
Well, I get a lot out
Changed
of
my
it too. You know what I mean? It's like I learn, while we're talking, I learn a lot of stuff. I mean,
Yeah, he knows all my deepest, darkest secrets.
it gets interesting. It's like some of the people that were helped through the book club.
Yes.
That completely changed their life.
Yeah. Christina Hudson.
Oh,
Yeah, she was going through
what were
leaving
we reading
her
then?
marriage, and then the other girl that was our
Somebody
front
had-
desk girl, and then she left.
Yeah. But I forget whatever. It's the Heaven and Habits of Highly Successful. I don't know what we were reading, but it turned her life around
Yeah.
completely.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's like she was not in a good spot. But that was really one of the beautiful parts about being part of the book club is when somebody really gets something out of it, because you get something out of it too. For me, the joy in giving is just seeing, how it helps people in life. Because I've got a lot of help in life. Like from Susan, it's like you've always been there, and you always make fun out of me. So
It's the way I connect.
I know, yeah.
I said this for years, but I only make fun of the people that I love. So I love you, Bobski.
What was that last one though? You said that you met somebody somewhere that did. I want you, and I just said back, yeah, I met you. I know you.
Oh, years from now, people will remember you because of the weird thing that you did when they met you or something like that.
Yeah. And I says, yeah, I met you.
That's why he remembers you, John.
My natural instinct when meeting new people or going to office meetings or whatever is I just instantly do weird stuff or say weird things, like the most absurd thing.
Yep.
Because I think it's a good icebreaker.
Yeah.
Because people are so used to, hi, how are you? And I
Yeah.
go, oh, wow, it looks like you just got dropped off by the school bus. How was that? It doesn't even make sense, Just impulsive.
Yeah.
It's fun, though. It's fun.
Yeah.
So we've had book club all of these years, and we meet on Tuesdays, and that's my time to say, okay, I'm checking out for a second, and I'm leaning in to the thing that is growth and, exercising the time. And it's for a minute, I was like, okay, I'm too busy. And then I'm like, okay, I'm missing something.
That's when you need it the most.
Yes, and they would be in the room, and I'd be like, okay, I have to run over here, I have to run over there. And then I went, wait a minute, I'm running because I'm not being grounded and solid in my own growth routine. And that's when I went, okay, I got to just be there.
Yeah.
I got to be there. And then we had a couple people that one left the brokerage and one is retired and traveling the world, and I'm like, no, we're still doing this. I need it. Like, I need the connection, and I need the wisdom, and I need the diligence to sit. And some weeks we will sit and just chat, and he'll listen to all my nonsense and then give me words of wisdom, and then I go home and I try them. I do. And most of the time they work. I mean, most of the time they work.
Well, what was so funny is he was like, well, why do you guys want me on the show? I'm like, you've been a pillar in this office since the Exit days.
Yeah.
You know, so going back 16 years.
Yeah. Yep.
You know,
He's
like
even
I
done
can't
the
remember any event that we've done and he's not been there.
Yeah. And he was doing handyman work for the office. I still have him, I think, on our preferred vendors as a handyman. And it has his business card on it.
Yep.
You know, he'll come here and he'll fix stuff for me, and I'm thankful. But then meeting his wife I was like, oh my gosh, you scored. She is beautiful on the outside and on the inside, and you can tell just when you're speaking to her how strong she is. And the laughter and the light comes right out of her face. And like the things, they're just so giving. So there was a time where I said, oh my gosh, you just smell so good. Because every time I would hug her, I'm like, God, you just smell so good. And then shows up with a bottle of the perfume that she wears. And I still look at it and I don't want to wear it because I still need to have the smell of Shirley, right? And so, like, just strong, dedicated, committed person. And then I watch those two be together, and there's the example of what unconditional love is. And even though you might have got 2 strikes, the third and was not a strikeout, it was the third time's a charm. Yeah.
Well, you either grow together or you grow apart.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just a reality.
Yeah.
I mean, before you met somebody and fell in love, you were total strangers.
Yeah.
And if you don't keep growing,
Yeah.
you're going to be total strangers again. And that's when you go your separate ways because you just don't know each other anymore. You just grew apart. It's just a fact of life. That's why you still got to keep that alive, that relationship alive. And being married a long time can be, when I was a young guy, though, in construction, we had all these macho guys, and they always used to talk about all the girls they're going out with. And I always used to say, well, look, it takes a lot more to keep one woman happy than to spread yourself around with a half a dozen. Yeah.
That's good advice.
Yeah, well, keeping a half a dozen happy isn't too bad. No.
Well, you had that season too, right? So,
But remember, it's a two-way street.
yeah.
That's why the book Unconditional Love.
Yeah.
I mean, it's an amazing book. And for me, a lot of people, when there's a problem, I'll recommend a book because it'll help them.
Yeah.
Now, if people don't really read, they don't look for the answer. They just expect it, I guess, to it's like once you get out, they say you get out of college, you never read a book again.
Yeah, it's so sad. Like you're missing all of the lessons that are actually there of other people's experiences.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It really feels like reading is a dying art form.
It's so
because,
sad.
And as someone that has written a book and then I
Yeah.
pass out the book and I'm hopeful that people will read the book.
Yeah.
And then you see them 6 months later and they're like, oh yeah, sorry, I just never got around to it. And it's like our culture and society nowadays is based off a 10-second attention span.
Yeah.
The Facebook Reels or TikToks and all that kind of stuff. It's like we need it like this.
Yeah.
So to say, hey, will you take 3 to 5 hours to read this book? People are like, what? No. Gotta watch cat videos on YouTube,
Yeah.
It's challenging.
Well, I don't read storybooks. I'd rather read a manual. I think the last book I read, was the Thornbergs.
Oh, I loved that book.
Yeah.
Did you watch the movie?
No,
They have the movie.
no, I read the book, but it was interesting.
Uh-huh. It was a
But-
little naughty.
I can't get it. I can't remember people's names. Really?
Yeah.
Do characters?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I have a hard time remembering characters.
Oh, I can't remember her name either, but I loved her. And the
It was a
priest.
good book.
Yeah.
Priest.
Yeah.
I thought it was a religious book.
There's some.
I'm not gonna make any comments because I don't know.
All I can say is steamy
Yeah.
Yeah.
steamy stories.
But in life, if there's an answer for everything, you just got to look for it.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I enjoy reading. I enjoy my family. I enjoy my friends. And just life is, like I was telling you, it's like with this COVID stuff. You know, when God wants me, he's going to take me.
Yep.
A lot of people, well, you should get, you know what? However I'm going to go, that's where I'm going to go.
Yeah.
So you're not getting the shot?
No. No. I have natural immunity
That's right.
from God.
That's right. That's right. So we had the pleasure of having another person, and since he has died, so Ted was in our book club.
Yeah, amazing
Ted
man.
White, yeah, and he would make little flyers for us, and he would come and these guys would banter back and forth just a little bit because they had to be a little competitive.
Yeah,
I'm like, okay. 86 and 76, and they're still doing it. Yeah, it doesn't
He
end.
was 10 years older than me, the
Yeah.
old man.
Yeah, that's what even call him.
But he had an amazing history. You talk about stories
Yeah.
and a life, yeah. Some of the stories he's told, they were hilarious. About when he went scuba diving,
Yep.
and he just put on heavy underwear and stuff, and instead of wet gear. And yeah, he had some amazing stories.
Yeah.
Real incredible human being.
Yeah.
And that's what life's about, is stories, right? And
Yeah.
that's kind of the wake that we live, or the legacies that we
Yeah.
live, is those stories.
Well, they had that one program too. Was called "What's Your Story?"
Mm-hmm.
You know, where they just meet people and then start asking them about, you know, like this. It's like, tell me about yourself, and it's amazing some of the things that people. I look at my life and like I was telling you, I wish I could live 100,000 years and be able to experience all of the wonderful things in this world that the good Lord has made for human beings. And I'm like nature. It's like,
Yeah.
you know, spend 50 years in nature just learning all about it. And because I look at birds and the colors.
Yeah,
You know?
birds are amazing.
And that's another thing I always thought, you know, color is a gift because we could do fine just with black and white.
Mm-hmm.
We don't need color.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
you just beat a bald guy with a tie.
What would I do?
Yeah. You'd
Have my
have
marketing shot.
no handle.
Yeah.
You know, but when you just think of that, and there again is when you count your blessings, look at all the amazing things you can do. You can button your shirt,
Mm-hmm.
put your shoes on, put your hat on, tie your tie, you know,
Yep.
get dressed, put your
Yep.
makeup on.
Yep.
And you see all of these, especially veterans, come back, you know.
Yep.
That one commercial always gets me on TV where the guy's face is all burnt, you know, and he's just got 2 holes for a nose. And then you see all these people whining and moaning and groaning about how tough life is. Life is.
Yeah.
How tough life is.
Yeah.
You know, and then you see good people pass away, and some of these really nasty people, they survive. But that's just the way life is. You know, it's full of mystery, wonder, and you got to love it.
Where do you think our current climate is taking us?
Well, that's another thing is you know, when you look at the ocean, that bothers me. You know, what you see going on in the ocean, it's like they said there was this 10-mile wide area out in the middle of the ocean, something with just trash.
Yeah.
You know, and all of the crap that they pour in the ocean. And I mean, the ocean's big.
Mm-hmm.
The world's mostly ocean.
Mm-hmm.
And you pollute that, you're done.
Mm-hmm.
It just, you know, it's just like with the oxygen in the trees and stuff.
We need it.
Yeah, and then they're talking about all this electric stuff, and it's kind of like the grid could never handle it.
Yeah.
You know, it's like when there's a catastrophe and everybody's supposed to get out of town. You know, if everybody needs electricity, man,
Yeah.
going to be a disaster.
No 3-hour waiting to cross a bridge, run out of electric. Yeah, it's why my son went dirt biking yesterday, is because he read somewhere that the gas and gas-powered vehicles were probably gonna, not
told me
be
that.
in the
2035.
far future,
Yeah.
and so he needed to go and ride his motorcycle
Before
in
they
the middle
disappear.
of the workday, so that it, yeah, yep. What
Well,
do you
he-
need? I need to go ride it while we use gas.
That's right.
There we go.
He's a conservative.
That's it. That's it. Yep. Exactly.
Right?
It didn't take much to motivate each other to go riding yesterday. So
Yeah.
I always say this is my first child, and then I have 2 more.
yeah.
And he was being the naughty big brother yesterday.
I was tempting him. I was twisting his arm, but it didn't take much.
No, it doesn't
I
take
touched
much.
his arm. He's like, "Okay, I'll go."
Yeah.
All right, let's go. You only live once, right?
Yep. So what's your favorite color?
Color?
Yeah,
What color are my eyes?
blue.
Yeah.
You have great.
Yeah.
Blue eyes.
Blue's my favorite color. What's yours?
Did girls already tell you that I was like, oh, your eyes are so pretty and stuff when you were growing up?
Yeah. No, not really. I mean, they're just blue.
No, they're like good blue.
I know, but they're just blue. Not like
And then, what's your
they're
favorite?
just blue.
What's your favorite food?
Food?
Like, just food.
Anything
okay?
edible?
Right.
I don't know. I like Italian food. You know?
No Polish food.
Yeah. Good Polish food. I said, let's. If it's food.
Do you ever tell Polak jokes?
Oh yeah. We used to always, you always change the Polak jokes to Italian jokes.
You
know.
did?
Yeah, you can convert them over to the Polacks and the Italians always like to trade those jokes.
Yeah, I can't do that anymore.
No, can't say anything. Everything's very
It's a-
sensitive
It's
nowadays.
a world missed. Yeah, you got lucky. You were in the world where you could still joke with each other.
I still tell them, they don't like it, they can kiss my big ass. You know, I don't buy into that crap. It's like this gender stuff. That's all garbage to me. And you'll cancel me. What are you going to cancel me from?
Yeah, you're gonna take down your Instagram
know,
account or something. Yeah.
Yeah, so you're not a nice person. Well, that's too bad, ain't it? That's another thing. You don't pay my bill, so I don't really care. I got that attitude early on that it's like I pay my bills and I worry about me. You don't pay my bills, so you know. And the thing is, like my mom, when you're a kid, they say stick and stone and break your bones. Names will never hurt you. And I take that to heart. It's kind of
Yeah.
like, yeah, you hit me with a stick, you got problems. But words, I mean, they used to call me names all the time. Used to call me a little, what do they call me, a DP,
What's that
a
mean?
dumb Polak. It's supposed to be displaced person, I guess, but it's like, yeah. Well, I used to wear sandals when I was little. Yeah, and shorts. Just a cute little boy.
I bet you're adorable as a little kid, like 4 or 5 years old, the blue eyes and bow-legged.
I don't know.
Do you have pictures?
Probably somewhere.
I've never seen pictures of you when you were young. Can you bring them?
Yeah, I'll see if I can scrounge some up.
That'd be funny to see.
I got one in a diaper standing on a pier. Yeah, I'm about this high, and I got on this t-shirt and a diaper, and I'm standing on a pier in Wisconsin on my grandma and grandpa's place. Yeah, that was, and then my brother and sister. I don't know. I guess I have some. I'm not sure. I'll have to
I want to see.
look and see.
Yeah. I wanna see.
You got any of you when you were little?
Yeah.
Yeah, and when you were baptized?
Yes. He knows my baptism story. I went to go get baptized and I just didn't know. And I was from California and,
Showed up in a bikini.
100%
Did
way
you
too
really?
small of a bathing suit. So no one tells me. I just know this person's going on the water that is forgiven of much stuff. And this new beginning is just, I can't even believe that I can have that, right? And so, I show up with my beach cover up on, you know, because that beach cover up. I'm from California, and I have my swimsuit on because you're going in water. Big hoop earrings, big red lipstick, eyelashes. The bangs were all big; they could blow in the wind, you know. And I was first, and so my sister and the pastor, I'm going to go out in the water. While I'm getting in the water, I take off my swimsuit cover. It's just way too small of a swimsuit. And we go out, and they baptize me and come back up, and I'm so thankful that my makeup still looks good. And and we get out, and you know, they just hugged me and wrapped me in a towel, and not one person judged and condemned me, and that was the beginning of my walk.
Yeah.
And so just
That's
a precious,
amazing.
precious time. Then the next person went in, they like had a sheet thing on, and I'm like, huh. The next one like had a blanket thing. Why are they wearing blankets over their clothes to get baptized? And then at the picnic, they like do a description of, you know, what happened. I'm like, someone could have told me I wasn't supposed to take my stuff off. And that's when I learned we're not supposed to cause other men to stumble, and that is for inside your marriage and the covenant that is there. And I always joke that my baptism was a country dance. Hoe down, hoe down.
Or washing that harlot right off of you, huh?
It came back up.
Oh, going down.
Yep. So I was baptized as a baby, Catholic, and had my godmother. And then I think I was 33 when I started reading the Bible and walking with the Lord. And those are some of my favorite conversations with you because you have all of that spiritual experience, and you always have a perspective that's a little bit different than mine. And if you weren't sharing it with me, I wouldn't have it and I wouldn't know it. And it's one of the things I'm most thankful for. Because sometimes I can go in my own way, and then someone else comes in, you're like, oh, different way might be a little bit better.
Well, I ain't no saint. I mean, you know.
No, you're not.
I can become one.
No way.
Yep.
Well, you always work to be the best person you can be, and sometimes I have to redo that.
I need a do-over.
Well, let's start over. You know, not complete, but
Yeah.
you know, it's what is that saying? It says there's two things in life: is that you're the person you are now, and the person you'll be when you learn something.
Ooh.
You know, and it's like, yeah. And there again, it's like every day we change, we grow. Nothing's static in this world. So you got to keep growing with it. It's like the technology now. It's, you know, I used to look at it and think, man, this stuff is lightning. You know, boom, there it is. And now it's like, come on, let's go. You know, it's even faster now, but you get used to everything.
Mm-hmm.
And your kids are growing up in this technology.
Mm-hmm.
So it's got to be a whole different world.
It really is. It's really interesting to help them navigate a lot of these things socially, and then just how they connect and communicate on these devices and such, and trying to put in those moral barriers of, okay, here's not how to react or how you should react and stuff like that. So it's challenging.
Yeah, it's not easy.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, especially with the internet nowadays, I can imagine how you just really got to be on top of everything because there's so many ways that they try to get to your kids.
Yeah.
You know, that's and the thing is how amazing the internet is, and yet how destructive it is.
It's the law of polarity, right? Something
Yeah,
that could be the greatest blessing can also be the greatest curse.
It's so sad because it's like, can you imagine if we just used the internet for good? Wow, what a world this would be.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But again, we were talking. See, again, the thing is like, if you don't have faith, if you don't believe in a creator and God and Jesus and stuff, then you're materialistic.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because it's about having things.
Yeah.
And the problem with that is you never have enough. And then when you do get something, you want something bigger, better, or newer. Even if it's the same thing. Even buying a new car, it's new for what?
Yeah.
To the first payment? Yeah, you know, and these billionaires, But then there's that power thing, you know. They want to rule the world, and in life, it's like I don't know, just worrying about yourself and people around you is a big enough job,
Yeah.
you know. And the internet, like I said, if I had the internet when I was a kid, I would still been screwed up. Yeah, you know, because I was telling him I wasn't. I was a slow learner, and in a lot of ways, I still am. You know, it's my comprehensions is fairly good, but I can't. That's another thing I was going to talk about. Is that if you learn your pace, you know what I mean? Everybody, you have a pace, and if you learn what that pace is, and move through life at that pace, life is really smooth.
I like
But
that.
but if you're going too fast for your pace or too slow for the pace that you're competent in, it's going to be a hassle, you know. And I think I learned my pace. You know, it's really slow.
I like that though.
Yeah. Yep.
Because that's so true. Because I mean, it's like, you know, the rush hour traffic, and if everybody's going 85 miles an hour, but you like cruising at 35, you know, it's gonna create some issues, right? And
But a
then-
lot of that is, you know, planning. People just don't plan for. If you got to be someplace, they think, well, you know, half hour, and then they get out there, and it's like, oh man, I got to be there in 5 minutes. I'm still half hour away.
Yeah.
And then they try to negotiate through, even in a meeting, and so many things in life. If you, like they say, if you don't write it down, you're not going to accomplish it. And if you do write it down, your chances of accomplishing it are 80, 90% better. You know, but all of these things, what do they teach kids in school? You know, I didn't learn this in school. I learned everything outside of school, in the School of Hard Knocks and in reading.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm so grateful that I've realized that books were learning tools in a big way. Because I can remember when I was young, I thought, wow, how do you learn all of these rules in life? You know, it seemed like there was this book of rules that you had to learn and remember all of these rules. And I thought, that, you know, that's what I had to do. It's like if you're learning math, you got to remember all this stuff and add on to it. And then you realize that, no, you just got to be able to know where to find it, you know? Because I used to say, why do I have to remember all this test stuff, man? I know where the answer is, you know? And the thing is, if I use it enough, well, then, you know, I'll have it on the tip of my fingers. But until I do, I need to know where the answer is.
Yeah.
So I found a lot of that in books, I guess. If you have a problem, good friends, I think if you have a really good friend, you don't need a therapist,
Thank you.
you know, really. Yeah, for me. Because that's where I get a lot of learning from. And again, like in learning, it's like in the book we're reading him, you know, is about connecting. It's about one talks, one listens. You know, it's just like what you do. You know, you either talk or you listen. And if you're listening, don't be waiting to talk because you're not listening. But I think it's easy to communicate with people when you do that. When you just listen to what they're saying, you know. And then there's that part where you now this is what you said, and, you know, and how did that make you feel? But there's a lot of truth to that. People don't listen the way they should.
Selective hearing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm guilty of that too. Speaking of listening, I was sick the other day.
Yeah, what happened?
Really. I think I had food poisoning. But anyway, I put my hearing aids on my table next to my chair, and I ended up knocking one of them off, and I stepped on it. So I only got one ear.
Oh, no.
So if I'm looking over here,
I can't hear anything.
Lead with your ear.
yeah. Yeah, just the one. The other one is it's not working.
Well, thank you for coming and doing this with us.
Oh, I appreciate it.
Just because when we're together, you always listen to me. And I have just always wanted to just sit for an hour and listen to you. And you just gave me one of the best gifts you ever could have given me.
Oh, I appreciate it.
So thank you.
I didn't realize I could talk that much.
It's amazing what happens when a microphone goes in front of your face. Huh?
Well, I guess it's when you're asked the questions, because what it said is if somebody wants you to talk, they'll ask you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like if nobody asks you to talk, don't talk.
Well, Bobski, it's been a fun journey, and many years to come, and many more experiences and books to read and stories to review and things to listen to. And but thank you for being a part of this whole experience for a very long time, and being part of her life, my life, and all the lives that you've touched. Yeah. And that's why we had you on the show today.
I appreciate both of you.
Yeah.
You know, you're important to me too, and that it's been a great experience knowing you, and a lot of laughs. You know, it's like you guys have a good sense of humor.
Thank goodness, right?
Yeah. You know,
It's a little naughty every once in a while.
and sometimes we have tempers.
Well, Bobski, it's been a joy to have you on the Spotlight Show, where we put the spotlight on you. And Susan, any final thoughts or words for you?
I would just say thanks for being a part
Yeah.
of my journey.
Thank you.
It wouldn't be one without you. You're one of my best parts.
Yeah. Oh, don't cry.
Well, that concludes this episode of the Signature Studio Spotlight Series with Mr. Bobski, Susan Ebert, and John Butler, the bald guy in the red tie, saying, see you in escrow. Bye.
Bye. That was great.